Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a bit of a watch video for you. There's a particular watch that I want to share with you, but before I get to that watch, which is really, really cool and rather spectacular, I might say, I do want to take a look at just a couple of Casio G-Shocks that I happen to have. Um, this is the clear case GA100 with that really cool um, camo background. Here we have one of the Casios. This is the green metal Casio. I love this watch. This is really, really cool. And I actually have another Casio um, that I really hope to add shortly to the collection. And then finally, we've got the Rangeman just with all the toughness and functionality. This is sort of the smartest thing you can get without going to an actual smartwatch. So I love all these watches for various different reasons. I especially find that I appreciate analog faces. So these two I really, really like. This I wear more for practical purposes, and it is a really cool looking watch. Today, though, I've got something a little bit different than any of these, and it's something that I learned about not too long ago. In fact, most of my watch education comes from Canadian Knife and Gear, either watches that are available for sale there that I like the look of and try to figure out whether I'd actually like the functionality or not, or watches that I get offered in trade for knives, and then I start doing research to see if I want this watch and if the value's right and all this kind of stuff. So not that long ago over on Canadian Knife and Gear, a particular watch came up for sale that really, really caught my eye. And I was so enamored with it that I quickly went out and did a bunch of research and trying to decide whether or not this is something that I wanted. And then once I realized how cool this was and started looking at that there was more to appreciate than just what I had initially spotted, okay, then I became even more enthralled with this. So what you're looking at is a Casio Oceanus. Now, this is a whole line. This is the T200. There are a number of watches in this line. All of them are pretty cool. Now, they're not cheap, and some of them are more expensive than this one. So whether or not I ever add another one is a pretty big question mark, but this is absolutely beautiful. Nearly everyone comments on the fit and finish, and truly, once you get this in hand and are able to look at it in person, it is extremely impressive. It is a little more expensive. I think retail on these is going to be more than $500 Canadian anyway. Probably if you're in the US or other countries, you can find a slightly different price point there, but probably around 500 US dollars. So when I first saw this, I was immediately struck with just the color and the way that this was put together in such a way that it was, sort of clean but also interesting. I love the flat sapphire glass, absolutely phenomenal, very anti-reflective. So the look was certainly what caught me initially. And then as I started watching some videos and seeing some close-ups of this, I became even more impressed. And now that I have it in hand, I am still more impressed. One of those things that everybody talks about. I always talk about it in knife videos. You hear about it in watch videos a lot as well. Everybody talks about fit and finish, but it's one of those things that's very hard to appreciate over a camera, right? You really need to take a look at something in person to appreciate a really job well done. And this is absolutely spectacular. Now, I am in no place to comment on high-end watches, but what frequently gets said about this watch by those who do know and are in a position to comment is that the fit and finish on this watch is, at a level that is comparable to much more expensive watches. And so you're getting a level of quality, a level of fit and finish that, you would normally have to pay quite a bit more for. And so I appreciate all of that. But the thing that I think is really the most cool about this is that it looks like a standard analog watch. You would expect if you were just looking at this that you're going to have to pull out this crown and set this watch, or perhaps even wind it. Now if you know it's a Casio and Casio doesn't do um, mechanical watches, then you'd know, well, obviously that's not how it works, but you would say, okay, it's still just a typical quartz watch. But this has some hidden secrets. This watch connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and it also connects to the atomic clock, or atomic clocks, the radio signal, so that it can check itself for accuracy and set itself. Not only that, but despite the fact that you cannot see it anywhere, like no matter how hard you look, you cannot see you cannot see any indication that this has solar capabilities, but it does, right? So this is one of those watches where it's a watch you don't have to worry about at all. First of all, you don't have to worry about setting the time, because as soon as you connect it to your phone, it's going to set itself to the accurate day and time. If you don't connect it to your phone, it can connect to the atomic clock and set itself that way. Now, it'll function without those things. If you somehow don't have a phone, don't have a radio signal, you can treat this like a fully like your typical analog Casio watch and just set it manually, and away you go. That's fine as well. But if you don't want to do that, or if you don't want to have to remind yourself to check it or anything like that, or worry about accuracy, you just never have to worry that this is out of whack ever, because it checks itself, a number of times through the day using the Bluetooth connection, and it checked itself overnight using the radio connection to the atomic clock. So this thing is stupidly accurate, and you didn't have to do anything to take care of that other than go through the initial setup process to connect it to your phone. The other thing you don't have to worry about is changing the battery or winding it, or even thinking about doing that, because if you're wearing it every so often, it's going to charge via solar power. Now, because of the shipping, right, this is going to be boxed up and out of solar exposure for a while. So when I first got this, I did leave it out for a couple of days, sort of sitting in a windowsill to get as much solar power as it could. I haven't actually bothered to go log into the app again to check how it did, but the idea was just to make sure that it's got a decent power supply. All right, so very, very cool. All those extra features is what I kind of love about this, in addition to the absolute superb look of this watch. Like, this is a really, really classy looking watch. So having first got, now that I've got the sort of major overview out of the way, and what I really, really like about this, we can touch on some of the little details of this face. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you here. There we go. Okay, so first of all, notice these markers here for your hours. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to show this on video or not, but I'll try. You can sort of see maybe from the 12 o'clock there, or the 6. Let me just spin it around and maybe you'll be able to catch it. But it's a little tough to notice when you're not in person, but these are actually cantilevered out, so it looks phenomenal. It has this depth to it. In addition, the blue face is actually a starburst pattern. So again, when I'm indoors, it's a little tough to show you, but if you go walk outside with this, immediately it becomes apparent. You may even be getting a little bit of it from time to time as I'm showing it to you here now. The bezel and the flat look of this is the other thing that is absolutely attractive to me. There you go. You can sort of see the flatness there. I guess we should touch briefly on size. We haven't even mentioned that. The other thing is that this watch has the capability to, if it ever gets out of whack. So you see how the second hand there is doing such a nice job of lining up with all those indices. So if that were to ever get out of whack, this watch can recalibrate itself. it can recenter itself to make sure it's accurate even in that regard. So again, just one more thing that you're not going to have to think about. And so for all of those reasons, it is just so cool. All right. Now, I guess if you don't like the look, there are a number of other colorways out there that maybe would be more appealing to you. Now, for me, this one was just ideal. The minute I saw it, I was like, that is one of the nicest things that I have seen. So very, very happy with it in that regard. Um, and so for me, yeah, this is great. Now for you, if you see this and you go, yeah, I kind of like it, but it's not the greatest thing ever, there are a number of others available. Now, the problem you're going to probably quickly run into is if you like some of the variants of this, some of them are far from cheap. Like these go into the thousands of dollars. So that can be a hiccup for you if that's going to be a problem. I haven't even mentioned the size at all. I tend to like larger watches, but this is only 41 millimeters, which is on the small side for me. It's okay. It's big enough that I don't dislike it, but you know, I've looked at some watches and even worn some watches that were like much smaller, 36 millimeters, stuff like that. That I can't really get into. Anyway, this one's 41 millimeters in diameter. We've got 11 millimeters of thickness, so just a bit over a centimeter there. 49 millimeters lug to lug. All right, and you can see those lugs have a bit of a downturn to them. Uh, and finally, 20 millimeter bracelet or 20 millimeter um, lug width, which is, you know, you care about that in case you wanted to put a different bracelet on it. For me, that doesn't make sense. Like, I think this looks really, really nice with the metal. Um, Putting a different bracelet on it, I feel like would take something away from it. But you may totally disagree. As for weight, it's like 130 grams sized for my wrist, which is like 4.6 ounces. And that's kind of heavy, but rather enjoyable as well. I've worn this a fair bit already. I've only had it for a few days, but it's one of those watches where once you get it, you feel compelled to wear it every second. So I've been wearing it a fair bit and really, really enjoying it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's definitely one of the longer watch videos that I've done, and I know there's been lots of reviews of this watch. It's pretty cool and pretty popular, but you know, this I wanted to get into some of those details so that those who maybe weren't that familiar or you mostly watch my channel for knives could at least have a quick handle on what this does that makes it stand out from the rest of the Casio lineup, because there are like metal Casios with an analog face that are like 150 bucks or something, and so this is not that. There's definitely a bit of a difference between this and your average, you know, budget Casio. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please, please, please check those channel sponsors. It's a huge help to the channel when you use those links that are provided in the description. We will talk to you soon.